Hey everybody, what's going on? Thanks for watching. Our Thursday show here at the Harris Football YouTube channel is devoted to the odds and ends of other stuff that I saw when I was watching film this week. I'll also give you my picks against the spread for the week, but I want to start out with O.J. Howard. Hasn't been extraordinarily productive yet, and in fact, in light of the Cameron Brate touchdown in the Week 3 game against Pittsburgh on Monday night, and the fact that Jameis Winston could come back at some point, and he seemed to have a big connection with Brate last year, maybe you're thinking it's the time not to be interested in Howard. I see enough on film that I'm kind of excited. At least let me show you what I see. Howard is in the slot right here. Let's take you actually chronologically through his highlights and see if I can convince you that he'll maybe soon be a cut above your run-of-the-mill fantasy tight end. I ranked Howard number 4 for fantasy this week ahead of Jimmy Graham. That may be largely about worrying. It's just a very, very flat position. But a linebacker ain't covering Howard, as you've seen as we've been showing you this play. And I especially like the part of this play where Howard adjusts to the ball. That late life he has there at the top of the route, push off a little. You know, you're not open, make yourself open, stretch, and go get it. Hey, if you've been looking for a place online where you can play the games, I play at BetDSI. I've been playing there since I've had a podcast for like 3+ years now. Never had a problem. Really like it. Their app works great. The website works great. They have customer service available 24/7. Really don't even have to think about it. It just works. So if you've thought about, hey, I'd like to have a place where I could put a couple bucks down on an NFL game or any other, I can personally recommend BetDSI. And if you'd like to get free deposit matching up to $500, well, I can get you that too. If you go to betdsi.com and use the promo code HarrisTube, they will, in fact, match your deposit up to $500. So thank you to BetDSI for sponsoring this YouTube show this week, and we really appreciate it. Back to O.J. Howard's game film. Slot right again here. Now, how do the Saints respond to that first reception? Well, they put a safety on him. It's Von Bell. And at the snap, Bell reaches out and tries to bump, but Howard's pretty sudden for a 6'6", 250 guy, and he gets off the line. Not a shock against the safety, and then he bodies Bell on a back shoulder throw. In 2 snaps there, you see the eternal conundrum defenses have for these super athletic, super big tight ends. You know, guard me with a linebacker, I'm too fast. Guard me with a safety, I'm too big. On this one, Howard is the inside guy of those 3 receivers. They're split to the right, and now this is a touchdown. It's a nice route. I mean, it's fine. I've talked on this show about George Kittle in and out of breaks, and I think Kittle's better at that than Howard is, but it's fine. And the touchdown part, I mean, that's a horrendous play by the corner. Not going to say this is about Howard much at all. I'm just keeping this play in mind because here it is again. Next drive, this time Tampa's in 2x2, right? So Howard's in the same location, split shallow to the right, and basically the same route, which is an option route. If he can get the safety here, Malcolm Jenkins to play outside technique, this is easy money. This is a Kelsey route. This is a Gronk route. You know, Jenkins gets his hands on Howard, but that doesn't work. You know, it's over. As long as there's no one else in the middle of the field, this is like stealing. And if Jenkins plays inside technique there, well, Howard's going outside, which is what he does here, covered by a linebacker out of the stack. And I mean, keep your feet. You're cutting like an elephant here by stumbling and then falling down. It's obvious, though, that if he stays on his feet, this is a nice completion as well. Here he's strong, covered by TJ Watt on the offensive right side, makes a catch, breaks a tackle. And here he's at least relatively elusive, catching a check down and running past 2 tacklers and then sort of turtling. If we're going to go just entirely based on what's on film, I mean, I'll say like Hunter Henry, after his first few games, I was more excited about him. And George Kittle, after rewatching his limited film from 2017 and then seeing his first game, also more excited about him. But Howard isn't that far off, and certainly Brate's presence and potentially Winston's presence could mean some 2-catch games, and it might get frustrating. This is all about a very flat position, tight end, and maybe trying to chase a little bit of upside where I think it exists, which is with Howard as an athlete. He's also a much better blocker than any of those guys I mentioned, Hunter Henry or George Kittle or Cameron Brate, which at least guarantees, well, on the one hand, that he'll be on the field more. Of course, on the other hand, he might be staying in to block more. But in today's offenses, 2 tight ends are out in patterns plenty of times. I think Howard's on the field all the time, and significantly better fantasy bet than Brate. And I'm going to say, at least we're going to give him a couple of weeks, and let's just see how it works out. All right, so kind of excited about O.J. Howard. Let's see how that goes the next couple of weeks. Also excited about my picks. I talked about BetDSI earlier. Let's take a look at my picks for week 4 against the spread. I mean, last week, pretty good. Taking the underdogs wound up being the right thing to do. I mean, it's not something I set out to do, so I basically try and figure out what I think the lines should be relative to what I've seen so far, and then compare them to the Vegas lines. As you can see, this week I nailed 3 of the lines exactly, so I'm not going to play them. And the 5 games you see here with an asterisk are the 5 that I missed the Vegas line on by most. So I guess I feel strongest about, and maybe Colts-Texans is the one I'm highlighting the most. I was the furthest off. I think people are pricing worries about Andrew Luck's arm, and maybe especially what they remember of the Colts defense, but it's actually playing pretty well. I don't think Houston's playing that well at all, so that spread surprises me a bit. All right, so every week I like to try and wrap up our week of YouTube shows with a countdown of things that I hope will be, at least, some of them are fantasy relevant. Some of them I think will help you manage your fantasy teams. That's my goal, and then maybe I'll throw in one that's just fun. So let's count them down, 5 through 1. Number 5, did you all see this Josh Allen run against the Vikings? He'd already run for a touchdown, really good one. And then he does this, hurtling over Anthony Barr there. Normally when a running back does this, I worry the guy will take unnecessary hits and get hurt. When your 6'5", 240-pound quarterback does it, I definitely worry. But then again, if last week didn't open your eyes to the possibility that maybe Allen isn't as terrible as almost everyone says, I don't know what will. Number 4, I promised on the podcast I'd do a little Royce Freeman. This is my favorite Royce Freeman run of the year so far, and in a game where Phillip Lindsay got ejected, I admit I came out of that game in Baltimore starting to like Freeman a little better. I think this is what he is. I think a bigger C.J. Anderson, right? Which can be really good, to be honest. This is like a power run that I think flashes what he does best. This is his touchdown run on his first carry of that game. I really don't think he's this guy so much. Yeah, it's a jump cut in that he stopped hard and jumped sideways. It's fine. It's what was called for. I said this yesterday when we were talking about Saquon Barkley. When you're cutting into completely open space, it's still good. It still shows some vision. We'll take it. It proves you can stop. And I like this from Freeman, but it really doesn't prove you can accelerate out of the cut, which is what my question is with Freeman. But hey, I'll take a touchdown. And yet here's the counter argument. If we slow it down as Freeman approaches the line, when he tries to sidestep, then to jump cut, you can see his legs don't really work that way. He gets himself kind of weirdly crooked diagonal to the tackler who's got outside contain, and Freeman isn't the dude who has the juice to bounce outside against outside contain. Now, I considered this game for Freeman a step forward for his fantasy stock, for my assessment of him. I think more of Freeman than I did previously after watching this tape, though I'm not thinking of him as any kind of superstar or complete back. Number 3, let's do our apparently weekly Andrew Luck wounded wing update. Now, I'm not going to call this throw a cannon shot. He doesn't really put his full shoulder into it. But when you can do this, I'm not sure I care. It's on a line to the sideway. It's dangerous, man. If it's not perfect, it's a pick 6. But damn, it's perfect. I thought overall Andrew Luck was pretty good in the rain. But of course, this is what people are talking about. Need a Hail Mary from about the 50-yard line at the end of the game. How could I not be a little alarmed that the Colts thought Jacoby Brissett was the best candidate to throw this? I'm at the point where I do think Luck's conservative stats to date more about scheme than his arm. But hey, you have to admit, to completely ignore this would be dumb. Number 2, this probably doesn't help that much for fantasy, but it's awesome. We showed the Keelan Cole one-handed catch, the James Conner one-handed catch last week. I submit to you a better catch than either of those. Travis Kelce, good at football. And number 1, Amari Cooper, my number 36 receiver for week 4. It's a week after he went 10 for 116. But how can we not be at our wits' end on this play? He's slot right, top of the screen. Just go deep, Amari. And sure, yes, 3 guys go with him. But aren't you winning that foot race when you hit the 30-yard line? Why are you stopping? Why are you stopping, Amari? And he stops, and therefore the pass is intercepted, and probably even more trust is lost with John Gruden. 3rd and 4, third quarter, split all the way wide on the left side. Get this catch, get the 3rd down, keep the drive going. Bonk, off his hands, hit him in a bad spot. And how many more times do we and the Raiders have to be burned by his hands? And he's split on the left side here again, man on man. You're a high draft pick, a pricey player. You've shown how dominant you can be. Set him up with a complicated stop and go. You've got the corner fooled. You get it laid right into your hands. I don't know what we do with Cooper. I really don't. I mean, we know what he's capable of. He has 2,000-yard seasons in his career. He's been between 5 and 7 touchdowns. Probably should be more, but that's decent in each of his 3 seasons. And yet, I'm at my wit's end with him for fantasy purposes. I don't know that I can trust him. And how many good games in a row do I need to see before I can trust him? I'm almost to the point where I'm rooting for one big game, maybe this week in week 4 against Cleveland, and then we can trade him away to some poor unsuspecting schmo who doesn't see this film and doesn't know what it's like to have to deal with Amari Cooper. It is extraordinarily frustrating, and I will leave you with that frustration. Thanks for watching this week. We'll be back with some week 4 recap stuff next week. In the meantime, please subscribe to the channel and keep coming back. We love having you. Thanks so much for watching. Please, please, please smash that like button, write a comment, tell us who else you'd like to see us review film on, and of course, best of all, please subscribe to our channel and then click that little bell above the subscribe button and you'll be notified whenever we post a new video.